Alright, welcome back to Key 6 of Hotshot Adventures, and we're gonna just jump right into it here. We're trying to get this done for a while. Constantly just having distractions, so first things first, let's get the gear up here. So I'm gonna get the big piece slid into the housing, and then I'll turn the gear here and get it to line up with the crank. See if we can. I just had it on there and I was like, oh, I should take it up. There it goes. There it is. So that's in there now, nice and flush the way it's supposed to sit. And because the kit I bought has a wear sleeve on it, I have that currently in the air fryer at like 400 degrees, heating that up. And I'm just waiting for that to heat up, and I set it for about 20 minutes, should be long enough. And then get down here before it cools off and slide it on. I'm going to try and get it to about, probably just past this rust ring. I don't know if you can see it. Get it right there, about 1/8 of an inch in. Because that's about when I looked at my harmonic damper. Let's see here. That's about, just trying to get in there for about the depth of where this sits. And then when you slide this on, because it's exactly the same inside diameter, so the bevel, it will sit right here at the back edge. Because this slides over the crank, so does that wear sleeve. So this will, in theory, push the wear sleeve exactly to the depth it needs to be. Since I am not buying the $178 Ford tool for this one-off install. So now I wait for the part to finish. In the meantime, I got the spring for that. I'm going to grab that. Okay. So here it is. Here's the new one. The old one's down here on the ground next to me. So we're just going to stick this up there. Just like that. Let me see if I can get you over here out of the way where my hand isn't. I threw a little lubricant on the O-ring, and that's got some tension on it now. So now I'll grab whatever that needs. I currently have that Allen wrench down here. Looking at my mess here. Here's the old one. But, so yeah, so now we're going to get that tightened up. Alright, in my case it was the same. 12mm. And I'll have to look up the torque spec because I don't know what it is. But, so that's in there. Now I'm just waiting for the part to heat. Okay. Well, this is where we're at. We basically used a rubber mallet. Used a piece of flat stock here, so I can evenly tap on it, and a brass and a lightweight brass hammer, and very carefully with the flat stock all the way across it, just tapping around it. Got it that far. Got, as you can see, some red Loctite already up there. Right now we're flush, and now we're going to try the next thing I saw on YouTube, since I don't have the tool and I'm too lazy to go buy it and wait 2 days for it. Since I've already waited days and I could have bought it, but saving myself a couple $100. I'm just going to use a harmonic balancer. I'm going to stick it up there, line it up, use the old bolts, and see if we can't make it move further in to where it's supposed to be. Alright, so basically this process I'm doing, it's kind of going about, getting the ratchet about 3 o'clock. Giving it a quarter turn here. Going to the next one. Same thing. And then you should notice these two should be loose. And then basically the same here. And then these will be loose. You get the idea. Keep working it back and forth and driving it on there. So I'll go one round like this, and then I'll go ahead and I'll use my electric ratchet, and I'll zip them all back off, and I'll check and make sure nothing bad is happening. So far, it's working perfectly. The sleeve is sliding on. No damage to the sleeve at all. So we're going to take these bolts back off and check it. Okay, I just took it off. Here's where we're at. And we're almost at depth here, I think. Because the depth of the harmonic balancer is probably 3/16 or something. So I think we're actually almost fully seated, honestly. But we're going to put it back up there and check around. No damage at all. It's not like rounding it or anything, causing any damage. And make sure, put your gear set on before you start. Because if you don't put that on before the ring, you're never getting that on. Let alone you're not getting it back off either. And to prove that point, so your outer ring will slide past, of course. Your inner ring isn't coming past it. So, alright, back to getting it down there. Alright, there we go. She's up there. That's where it sits. Just past the rest grooves that I pointed out earlier. With the red Loctite on there, and it looks fine to me. I don't see any damage, or at least what I would consider no more. I don't see any damage. Maybe a hair right there might have touched it, but looks fine. I don't expect it to be any better than if I were using the tools. So, alright, now I'm gonna go get the cover and slide the cover on. Alright, and before I put the cover on, I went ahead and just shine that up real quick. Secondly, got your dowel pins. Before I do all that, I want to try and throw some lubricant or something in here to help with the priming. I don't have any Lucas oil, so this is what I'm going to use. Try and get that in there. Best I can. Is what it is. Throw a little of that on the seal as well. I'm just gonna. Do I need any lube on the seal? No, don't need any lube on the seal, but the O-ring doesn't care. But like any other O-ring I put in, I always whatever. I always throw a little something on it. It's not sliding or anything. It's just being put up there. Mellings, a lot of people on the internet says pack them full of grease or something, or I mean, I wouldn't use any sort of grease like wheel bearing grease. You could try maybe Vaseline, but I'm not gonna endorse that. If you go on Melling's website for installing these pumps here, they say just throw some good old motor oil on them. They'll do what they're supposed to do. Because if you throw like wheel bearing grease or any sort of heavy grease in there, that grease has got to you've got to be able to pull oil and pump the oil. And secondly, that grease isn't probably going to melt and liquefy. If you use wheel bearing grease especially, that's like 300 and some degrees before it actually liquefies, per se. Your engine never sees that temperature. And secondly, whatever you put in here, that will eventually end up in your high pressure oil pump and in your injector. So use caution on whatever you stick in there. So that's why we're just going to use some assembly lube oil here and try and get this sealed to now get in the cover with the new O-ring gasket and new cover. Got the gasket in there. It's going to be, you have to get that inner lip over the edge there and get your dowel pins all lined up at the same time, basically. So we're going to fight with that here off camera since I don't have a tripod to really work with this under here. Alright, there it is. It went on there actually quite easily. I ended up just using a small pick, kind of tipped it out, slid it in about like that far past the ring, kind of put this on there like just at a slight angle, kind of towards one of the pins, and just worked it around, and it just popped right on, no effort. So that's what I did to get that on there, and now, usual, just sending the bolts home. Good. I don't know if there's a torque spec to them, so I'm going to look up the torque spec. Otherwise, I'm just going to tighten them up. Since these are small bolts, 10 millimeter, like pretty much most these smaller 10 millimeter bolts like this, I mean, what, 72 inch-pounds? Maybe 8 foot-pounds if you want to go that far. But I'm going to look them up, but that's what I'm guessing. Alright, that's done. Just kind of torqued them in a star pattern. Found on Google, said for the Melling low pressure oil pump, 80 inch-pounds or 6 foot-pounds. So I just went with 80 inch-pounds on my little 1/4 inch Harbor Freight ratchet. Got that done. So now I'm going to throw the harmonic balancer back up there with my ARP bolts and figure out the torque spec for that is. Alright, and we're done. Got the ARP 150-2505 ARP bolts in. Got them all lubed up with their whatever their lubricant is. 90 foot-pounds is what I found online from ARP's site. So torqued them all. Obviously it's probably spun, so I just used a long pry bar, put it right there in between a couple bolts, did the top two, just kind of rotated back and forth, got them all torqued down, went over them twice. All we gotta do now is put the belt on and let the cranking madness begin, trying to get all the air out of the system between the low pressure pump, high pressure pump, new O-rings on all the high pressure feed lines under the valve covers, etc. So with any luck, everything is working as it should, and it shouldn't actually take that much cranking. Time will tell. But there's the install of the Melling low pressure oil pump. Catch you guys later.